we are at a period which in retrospect is either going to be seen as a period of extraordinary creativity or a period when really the international order came apart politically, economically, and morally. I believe that with all the dislocations we now experience, there also exists an extraordinary opportunity to form for the first time in history a truly global society carried by the principle of interdependence. And if we act wisely and with vision, I think we can look back to all this turmoil as the birth pangs of a more creative and better system. If we miss the opportunity, I think there's going to be chaos.
But at the same time the opportunity exists, as you yourself have said, the political problem is that the Western world, and this is a direct quote of yours, is suffering from inner uncertainty and a sense of misdirection. What's causing that inner uncertainty? Is it external? Is it internal? Or is it simply we don't know what we really want to do?
Bill, I think you are quite right. The aspect of contemporary life that worries me most is the lack of purpose and direction of so much of the Western world. There are many reasons for this. The European countries have had to adjust in this century to 2 world wars, to an enormous change in their position, to a dramatic, really social revolution in all of them, and now to the process of European unification. The new countries are just beginning to develop a coherent picture of the international world, having spent most of their energies gaining independence. And in the United States, we have had a traumatic decade. The assassination of a president and his brother, the Vietnam War, the Watergate period. So we have this great opportunity at a moment when the self-confidence in the whole Western world has been severely shaken. On the other hand, as far as the United States at least is concerned, I believe we are a healthy country, and I believe we are capable of dealing with the problem that I have described creatively.
The only way to handle danger is to face it. If you start getting frightened of it, then you make it worse, because you project onto it all kinds of bogies and threats which don't exist in it at all. Whenever you meet a ghost, don't run away, because the ghost will capture the substance of your fear and materialize itself out of your own substance, and will kill you eventually, because it will take over all your own vitality. So then, whenever confronted with a ghost, walk straight into it, and it will disappear. We've got to survive. You must survive. That's the great thing we're all working under, and pounding it out day after day in anxiety, because this is a description of anxiety. Anxiety is the fear that one of a pair of opposites might cancel the other forever. And if by any chance, by any means, you find out that that is not so, you have an entirely new attitude to what human beings are doing, which may be very creative, but which also may be very dangerous. You see through the game. See, the function of a guru, that is to say a spiritual teacher in India, is to give you a funny look in the eye, because you come to him and say, Mr. Guru, I have problems. I suffer, and it's a mess, and I can't control my mind, and I'm miserable and depressed, and so on. And he gives you a funny look. And you feel a bit nervous about the way he looks at you, because he's reading your thoughts. And this man is a great magician. He can read everything that's in you. He knows right down into your unconscious. He sees in you the Brahman, the Godhead. And why he seems to see right through you, as if to say, I know who you are. Anybody, as a matter of fact, can become aware that he is one with the eternal ground of the universe. But since that's what you are anyway, I'm going to ask, so what? When a hero goes on an adventure, and he leaves his people, and is going to a strange land, he can go away and just hide himself round the corner in an obscure house, and then appear a year later and say, I've been on a heroic journey, and tell all sorts of tales. And they say, prove it. Because they expect him to bring back something which nobody has seen before. Then they believe you've been on the journey. So in the same way exactly, anybody who goes on a spiritual journey must bring something back. Because if you just say, oh man, it was a gas. Anyone can say that. Now this is why in the doctrines of Buddhism there is a differentiation between two kinds of enlightened beings. They are both forms of Buddha, which is to say the word Buddha means somebody who has awakened, who has discovered the secret behind all this. In other words, all this thing we call life with its frantic concerns is a big act, which you, in your unconscious depths, are deliberately setting up. So you can do one of two things when you discover this. You can become what's called a pratyeka Buddha. That means a private Buddha, who doesn't tell anything. Or you can become a bodhisattva. Pratyeka Buddha goes off into his ecstasy and never is seen again. Bodhisattva is one who comes back and appears in the everyday world and plays the game of the everyday world by the rules of the everyday world. But he brings with him upaya. He brings with him some way of showing that he's been on the journey, that he's come back, and he's going to let you in on the secret too. If you will play it cool and also come back to join in the everyday life of everyday people.
We as citizens need to wake up, and we need to expect and demand more from journalists, newsmakers, and news organizations. We need to expect and demand more upfrontness and openness about the stands these journalists will take and the agendas that they're serving. Secondly, we need to support the independent journalists across the world who work courageously outside of the mainstream to present us with an often more hard-hitting, realistic, and honest image of the world. Those journalists from Iraq to Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, Yemen, Somalia, North America, South America, the West Bank, Israel, Gaza, and elsewhere, they need our support. But most crucially, and most fundamentally, we have to be willing to actually confront reality and not hide behind the cozy worldview presented to us by the mainstream media. When we smash the illusory mirror and look through the frame, we will see the real image of the world and our role in it. And that image might shock us, but it is our obligation to go after it. Our future depends on it.
France will shut shops. Oh my God. When the French are shutting down the stinky cheese shops and the fucking Gucci stores or whatever faggy fashions you guys, restaurants and entertainment facilities, they're shutting all that down. Folks, we're shutting the world down here. With its 67 million people were told to stay home after confirmed infections doubled in 72 hours. They don't work that hard in Europe. Ever look at Europe's work week? It's like 14 hours. Colombia said it would expel 4 Europeans for violating compulsory quarantine protocols hours after closing its border with Venezuela. Everybody's very racist all of a sudden, huh?
It's not racist at all, no. Kung Flu. You work for China? Who owns that, China? Is it owned by China?
This is great. You know why? It kicks the globalists right in the balls where they live.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
This is all happening at a time that we're starting to see a message shift here, because you're starting to hear the Republicans, especially Trump calling it the Wuhan or the Chinese coronavirus. They're looking for someone to blame.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why.
That presents physical harm to the Asian American community. Medical experts and health experts agree that the proper term is COVID-19 or a novel coronavirus. By using this term, it adds nothing to the scientific community, but causes harm to the Asian American community.
You've been very clear about who you think is to blame.
No, I don't think. I know where it came from. It comes from China.
The implication of using words like that is to suggest that somehow Chinese people as a whole are to blame, and legitimizes the American populace as a whole, or certain elements of it, to discriminate against Asian Americans. And when I say discriminate, I'm talking about physical harm, verbal abuse that people feel and actually experience. These aren't just semantics here that we're talking about. These are actual events that people are facing.
Would you condemn the fact
say the term again?
A person at the White House used the term Kung flu. My question is, do you think that's wrong, Kung flu? And do you think using the term Chinese virus, that puts Asian Americans at risk, that people might target that?
No, not at all. I think they probably would agree with it 100%. It comes from China.
Well, unfortunately, Asian Americans have faced discrimination, have faced these sorts of issues throughout our history in the United States. Americans have always been better because we are a diverse community, because we come from different backgrounds. And that is why words like this from the president and refusing to acknowledge the harm that this does to our community is so troubling.
Concern is growing this morning over an outbreak of a new SARS-like virus in China. At least 6 people have died from the Wuhan coronavirus. The Wuhan coronavirus. The Wuhan coronavirus.
The 34-year-old ophthalmologist diagnosed Saturday with the Wuhan coronavirus.
Wuhan virus.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
The Wuhan coronavirus.
The Wuhan coronavirus. What more can you tell us about the similarities or differences between SARS and the Wuhan coronavirus?
The Wuhan coronavirus.
The Wuhan coronavirus in China.
The Wuhan coronavirus.
The Wuhan coronavirus. From the Wuhan coronavirus.
Wuhan coronavirus.
Fears continue to grow over the outbreak of the Wuhan coronavirus.
Wuhan coronavirus.
The Wuhan coronavirus. The Wuhan coronavirus. We have new information about how the Wuhan coronavirus is spread.
It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China.
Tying coronavirus to China and Chinese people isn't just a racist dog whistle. It's a whole racist orchestra. It's a mighty, mighty racist bass tone.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
I hear Stephen Miller in this foreign virus, setting up travel bans for the outside invasion of the disease. That's not the way.
The Chinese coronavirus that they've been
that's
calling
not
the first U.S. case of Chinese coronavirus.
The Chinese coronavirus.
This is coming as the Chinese coronavirus.
China's coronavirus outbreak.
China's coronavirus.
Outbreak anxiety. The death toll nearly doubles in China's coronavirus outbreak. China's coronavirus.
I wonder who said that.
Just how bad is China's coronavirus?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
China's coronavirus outbreak.
China's coronavirus outbreak.
China's coronavirus outbreak.
China's coronavirus.
China's coronavirus. China's coronavirus.
China's coronavirus.
Concerns about the China coronavirus.
It's going to come across to a lot of Americans as smacking of xenophobia, to use that kind of term.
Work for China?
shouldn't have been a messin'. And now someone else is getting all your best. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these boots are gonna walk away.
Hey baby, you got girlfriend Vietnam? Not just this minute. Well baby, me so horny. Me so horny. Me love you long time. You party? Yeah, we might party. How much? $15? $15 for both. No, each you $15. Me love you long time. Me so horny. $15 to buku. $5 each. Me sucky sucky. Me love you too much. $5 is all my mom allows me to spend. Okay, $10 each. What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything. You keep playing. Well, old buddy, feel like spending some of your hard-earned money? And you keep thinking that you'll never... They're serving officers in the Viet Cong? Yeah, they're half got TV. Be sure you only fuck the ones that cough. What he knows you ain't had time to learn.
The argument is that you bought yourself some time and you didn't use it to prepare hospitals, you didn't use it to ramp up testing. Right now, nearly 20 million people
disgraceful.
are unemployed.
It's so disgraceful the way you said it. Let me just listen. I just went over it.
Or this rant supposed to make people
I just went over
in
it.
an unprecedented crisis.
Nobody thought we should do it, and when I did it,
But what did you do with the time that you bought?
you know
The
what we
month
did.
of February. That
You know what we
video
did?
was a gap.
What do you
The entire
do?
month of February.
What do you do when you have no case in the whole United States? When you excuse me, you reported it. 0 cases, 0 deaths on January 17th.
February, the entire
January.
month of
I said in
February. Your video
January.
has a complete gap.
On
Month of
January
February.
30th.
What did your administration do in February with the time that your travel ban bought
A
you?
lot. A lot. And in fact, we'll give you a list. What we did, in fact, part of it was up there. We did a lot. Look. You know you're a fake. You know that. Your whole network, the way you cover it, is fake.
What a bitch.